Hey, it's really nice to be here with you again. I'm Lila, and today has been one of those days where I didn't do anything extraordinary. I went for a short walk, bought some fruit from a little market, and somehow that was enough to make the day feel nice.
And I'm Dilo. My day started in a much less peaceful way.
Oh? What happened?
I got stuck in traffic for almost 40 minutes this morning.
Ouch.
Yeah. And the funny part was, I wasn't even that far from where I needed to go. I could actually see the building from my car.
No way.
Seriously, I spent so much time sitting there that I started wondering if walking would have been faster.
Honestly, it probably would have been.
I think so too. I looked around and everyone looked exactly the same. Sitting in their cars, drinking coffee, checking the traffic, probably wondering why they ever left home.
That's such a city experience.
Exactly. And while I was sitting there, I had a very random thought.
Let me guess. I should move to the countryside.
That's exactly what I thought.
I had a feeling.
Before we go any further, we should probably say hello to everyone listening.
Yes, whether you're driving, cooking, taking a walk, cleaning your room, or practicing your English with us today, thank you for spending this time together with us.
And thank you so much for all the comments you've been leaving. We really enjoy reading them, especially when you tell us where you're listening from.
We also love hearing that many of you listen once just to enjoy the conversation, then come back later with the PDF to review vocabulary and expressions.
Which is honestly one of the best ways to improve your English. Just listen naturally first, and don't worry if you miss a few words.
And if you enjoy these cozy conversations, don't forget to subscribe to Talkatoo English Podcast. We'd love to have you join us every week.
You know, after I finally got out of traffic, I started imagining a completely different life.
Oh?
Yeah, a small house, no traffic, birds instead of car horns, maybe a little garden.
That does sound peaceful.
It really did, for about 5 minutes.
What changed?
Then I remembered, if I lived far away, I'd probably miss good cafes, bookstores, restaurants, and being able to meet friends whenever I wanted.
That's the difficult part, isn't it?
Yeah, every place seems to give you something and take something away.
Exactly. The city has energy, convenience, and opportunities.
And the countryside has space, quiet, and nature.
Which makes me wonder, is one really better than the other?
Or are we just imagining that life would automatically become happier if we lived somewhere else?
That's a really interesting question.
Because I think almost everyone has imagined a different life at least once.
Yeah, and maybe today's conversation isn't really about cities or the countryside.
Maybe it's about something much deeper.
About what kind of life we're actually hoping to build, no matter where we live.
You know, after complaining about traffic this morning, I started thinking maybe I'm being unfair to the city.
Really?
Yeah, because even though I complain about it all the time, there are a lot of things I genuinely love.
Like what?
Convenience, for one. If I need groceries at 9 o'clock at night, there's probably a supermarket still open. If I want to meet a friend after work, there are hundreds of cafes. If I suddenly decide I want to watch a movie, I can probably find a cinema nearby.
That's true. Cities make everyday life very convenient.
Exactly. Everything feels close. Restaurants, hospitals, public transport, bookstores, gyms, it's all there.
And there are usually more opportunities, too.
Yeah, more jobs, more events, more people to meet.
I think that's one reason so many people move to cities.
Definitely. My cousin moved to the city a few years ago because there were more career opportunities.
Does he like living there?
He does. He says every weekend there's something new to do. Food festivals, concerts, exhibitions, markets. He never gets bored.
I can understand that. Cities have a kind of energy that's exciting.
Exactly. You feel like something is always happening.
But can I disagree with you a little?
Of course.
I think that same energy can also become exhausting.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes I visit a big city for a few days and I love it at first. But after a while, I notice something.
What?
Everyone seems to be in a hurry. People are walking quickly, eating quickly, talking quickly. Even when nobody says it out loud, you can almost feel the pressure.
I never really noticed that because I'm used to it.
Exactly. When you're surrounded by that pace every day, it starts to feel normal.
That's true. Even when I'm walking somewhere with no deadline, I somehow walk fast.
See?
I guess I do.
I also notice that people in cities often protect their personal space more.
What do you mean?
Well, if you live in a large apartment building, you might not even know your neighbors' names.
Oh, that's actually true. I've lived in my apartment for almost 2 years, and I only know one neighbor.
Whereas in smaller towns, people often know the shop owner, the person next door, or the people walking their dogs every morning.
I kind of like that idea.
Me too. It creates a feeling of community.
But at the same time, I think I'd miss the excitement.
And that's completely fair.
Because sometimes I love the feeling of walking through a busy street at night. The lights, the cafes, people laughing, music coming from different places.
Yeah, cities have a very special atmosphere.
So maybe that's why it's such a difficult choice.
Exactly. Because the city gives us opportunity, convenience, and excitement.
But sometimes it quietly asks for something in return.
A little more noise.
A little more stress.
And sometimes a little less space to slow down.
Okay, after everything we just said about the city, I have to admit something.
What's that?
Every time I visit the countryside, I tell myself, I could live here forever.
Until how many days later?
Maybe 3?
I thought so.
Seriously though, the first morning always feels amazing. You wake up, open the window, and instead of hearing traffic, you hear birds.
Yeah, that kind of silence feels very different.
And somehow the air even smells different.
I think it does. There are more trees, more open space, and usually fewer people.
I remember visiting my grandparents when I was younger. Every evening, people sat outside their houses talking to each other.
That's something I really love.
Nobody seemed to be in a hurry. Children were riding bicycles, neighbors were chatting, and someone was always growing vegetables in their garden.
Life feels slower.
In a good way.
I think so too. Sometimes slowing down helps you notice things you normally miss.
Like what?
The sound of the wind, the stars at night, the smell of rain, or simply having enough time to enjoy breakfast without looking at the clock.
That sounds really peaceful.
It is. And I think people in smaller communities often know each other better.
Yeah, my grandmother couldn't walk to the market without stopping to talk to at least 5 people.
Exactly.
It took forever to buy vegetables.
But maybe those conversations were part of the trip.
I never thought about it like that.
Because sometimes we're so focused on getting somewhere that we forget the little moments along the way.
But can I disagree with you a little?
Of course.
I think the countryside can also feel lonely.
That's true.
I have a friend who grew up in a small town, and he told me there weren't many places to go or many new people to meet.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest differences.
He said if he wanted to watch a movie or visit a bookstore, he had to drive a long way.
And for young people, that can feel limiting.
Exactly. He loved the peace, but he also wanted more opportunities.
I think that's a very honest point. The countryside isn't perfect either.
Right. Sometimes there are fewer jobs, fewer activities, and fewer choices.
Which means different people need different things.
Maybe that's why my grandparents loved living there, but my friend couldn't wait to leave.
Exactly. They were looking for different kinds of lives.
So maybe the countryside isn't better because it's quieter.
And the city isn't better because it's busier.
Maybe each place simply gives us a different version of life.
Yeah, one offers excitement and movement.
The other offers space and stillness.
And perhaps the real question isn't, which place is better?
Maybe it's which life feels more like you right now. You know, after everything we've talked about today, I'm starting to think this conversation isn't really about cities or the countryside anymore.
I had the same thought.
Because I know people who are perfectly happy in busy cities, and I know people who couldn't imagine living anywhere except a quiet village.
Exactly. And I think that's because home is more than a place on a map.
What makes you say that?
A few years ago, one of my friends moved to another city for work. She had always dreamed about living there.
Really?
Yeah, she was so excited. There were beautiful cafes, bigger companies, lots of events, and so many new opportunities.
Sounds like everything she wanted.
That's what she thought too. For the first few weeks, she loved it. Every weekend, she explored a new neighborhood, tried different restaurants, and took pictures of everything.
The exciting beginning.
Exactly. But after a few months, she called me one evening and said something that really stayed with me.
What did she say?
She said, "I love this city, but I don't feel at home yet." At first, she couldn't understand why. She had everything she thought she wanted.
So what was missing?
Time, familiar faces, little routines. The cafe where someone remembers your usual drink. The neighbor who says good morning. Friends you can call without making a plan a week in advance.
All the small things.
Exactly. The things that quietly make a place feel like home.
You know, I had almost the opposite experience.
Oh?
Last year, I visited my grandparents' village after not going there for several years.
That must have felt strange.
It did. I expected everything to feel different because I'd changed so much.
And did it?
In some ways, yes. There were a few new houses, and some of the old shops had closed. But the funny thing was, after just one afternoon, it felt familiar again.
Really?
Yeah, the same little streets, the same bakery, the same old tree near my grandparents' house. Even the smell of the air brought back memories.
Isn't it amazing how places can do that?
It really is. I suddenly remembered riding my bicycle there as a kid and playing outside until it got dark.
Memories become part of a place.
Exactly. And that's when I realized something.
What?
Home isn't only where you live.
I agree.
It's where you feel connected, where people know you, where certain sounds, smells, and little routines make you think, I belong here.
I love that.
So maybe someone can feel at home in the middle of a busy city.
And someone else can feel at home in a tiny village surrounded by fields.
Because in the end,
Home isn't just about the place.
it's about the life you've built there and the people who make that place meaningful. You know, when we started this conversation, I thought we were going to decide whether the city or the countryside was better.
Me too.
But now, I don't think there's a winner.
I don't think so either. They're just two different ways of living.
Yeah, and maybe we sometimes make the mistake of thinking that changing our location will automatically change our happiness.
That's such an important point.
Because I've definitely caught myself thinking, if I lived somewhere else, everything would be easier.
I think almost everyone has had that thought at some point.
But then I remember friends who moved to their dream city and still had stressful days.
And I know people who live in beautiful countryside villages, but still worry about work, family, or the future.
So maybe every place has its own challenges.
Exactly. The city might give you more opportunities, but it can also ask you to slow down on purpose.
And the countryside might give you more peace, but you may have to accept fewer choices and a quieter lifestyle.
Neither life is perfect.
But maybe perfection isn't the goal.
I think the goal is finding a place that supports the kind of person you want to become.
I really like that.
Because if you love meeting new people, trying new restaurants, and having lots of energy around you, the city might feel inspiring.
And if you enjoy nature, quiet evenings, slower mornings, and knowing your neighbors, the countryside might feel more like home.
Exactly.
You know, if you had asked me this question a few years ago, I would have chosen the city immediately.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted excitement all the time. But now, I think I'd still like living in the city, just with a little more balance. More parks, more walks, more quiet evenings.
That's interesting because my answer has changed too. I still love peaceful places, but I also enjoy visiting busy cities for a few days. I think I appreciate both much more than I used to.
Maybe we don't have to choose one forever.
Exactly. Life changes, and so do we.
Before we finish today, maybe we can leave everyone with one question.
I'd love that. So here's our question for you. If you could choose any place to live tomorrow, would you choose the city or the countryside? And more importantly, why?
My answer right now would be a small city with lots of parks and cafes. I think I'd enjoy having the convenience of city life while still finding little quiet places to slow down.
And my answer would probably be a peaceful town not too far from a city. Somewhere I could hear birds in the morning, know my neighbors, and still visit the city whenever I wanted a little excitement.
So, we're both trying to find the best of both worlds.
I think we are.
And maybe that's the real lesson today.
Yeah, it's not really about choosing the perfect place.
It's about choosing a life that feels right for you.
And remembering that home isn't something we simply find.
It's something we slowly create, one day, one memory, and one relationship at a time.
And if you'd like to review today's vocabulary and expressions, don't forget to check the PDF in the description.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us, and thank you for all your wonderful comments. We love reading about your lives and your English journey.
And if Talkatoo English Podcast helps you practice English naturally or gives you a peaceful break in your day, don't forget to subscribe and join us again next week.
Take care of yourself this week.
Wherever you are in the world,
We hope it feels a little more like home today.
thanks for being here.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.